Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'm doing the Loki tag. This is from Eric at Break Even Books. He started this tag. I was excited to be included, although I'm a little late to the party. So I'm sorry it took me an extra week to do this. I will put a link to Eric's channel, Break Even Books, down below, and I will also include the prompts. There are 9 questions. Question number 1. Mischief, a book with a mischievous character. This one's hard. The hardest question. The first question is so hard. I don't read a whole lot of books with mischievous characters. I read a number of books about white-collar crime, and there's a number of mischievous characters who have violated federal laws. I don't know if that really counts. If I was doing graphic novels, I would say Lobo is fairly mischievous, so maybe I would say Lobo. Although I would say it's probably a cop-out. I don't have like a specific character I can think of in a regular mainstream book that I've read that's mischievous. Bad, but I don't know if... Mischievous seems a little more playful. And there aren't a whole lot of characters in the books I read that are playful. All right, question number 2. Variant 1. Show a book that you have more than one version of. I'm going to show you 2 books that I have more than one version of. And these are both important books to me. But the first is The Purple Land That England Lost. This was written in 1885 by William H. Hudson, who was born in Argentina to, I believe, British parents, and he moved to England and wrote The Purple Land That England Lost about Uruguay. The Purple Land That England Lost in 1885 was not a commercial success. It was in 2 volumes. I have both volumes here, volume 1 and volume 2. This is actually first edition, first printing signed. But it wasn't a commercial success until 1904 when it was republished as The Purple Land. A chapter was removed, some changes were made inside of it, and I have the 1904 copy of the book, which is different, right? So the first one was The Purple Land That England Lost. This is just The Purple Land. I wrote my name on the inside of it because other people did too. Like somebody wrote their name in here from 1905, somebody in London, 1941, and then I got this in 2015. Then I got a copy. This actually came with a slipcover, but The Purple Land, and this is Cameo Classics. And the thing I really liked about this is it has illustrations. This is from no later than the 30s because there's a person's signature in the front from 1938. But this has illustrations of the main characters. I got this at an antique store. It's a very lucky find, but this is probably 1920s, 1930s. In the 1940s, the U.S. made these for servicemen who were in I think these are from World War II, although I couldn't find a date on this. This is the full book. It's very cool, but they were made for service members during the war, and it's a nonprofit organization established by the Council on Books in Wartime, New York. Editions for the Armed Forces Incorporated. And then the book that I actually read with my hands, this is one of those print to order. This is what I read first. There's nothing special about it. It's actually a really small print. But I read this because there's, if this gets dirty or smashed up, I'm not too worried about it. I would be sad if The Purple Land That England Lost got hurt. The other book that I have is White Collar Crime. And this is kind of cool. So White Collar Crime was originally published in 1949. This one's from 1967. The author, Edwin Sutherland, wrote about specific companies and specific individuals who were involved with white-collar criminal activities. The publisher, before this one, Drayden Press, was worried that they were going to be sued. They were worried about libel suits by the companies and individuals named in the book. So they pressured Sutherland to censor the book and basically remove any names of companies or individuals. So it would say Company 1, Company 2, Company 3, Individual A, Individual B. And that's what happened from 1949, and then Sutherland died in 1950, until 1983. And in 1983, Yale University Press published the uncut version, which put all the names of the individuals and companies back in. This is what the original text would have been. By then, Sutherland was dead. He died in 1950, and they basically assumed that everyone who had been involved with the crimes that were illustrated in this book in the 20s and 30s are probably dead. So it's probably safe to bring up at this point. So they published the uncut version. Now the cool thing that I have, and I've shown this before, and eventually I'll have a standalone video for this, is I have the carbon copy typescript of the unexpurgated version of this book. This is a copy of the uncut version of the book that existed 21 years before Yale University Press published this. And this is very cool because this actual copy was used by Yale University Press likely to make this happen. There are two copies of this that I know that exist. One is in a rare books and manuscripts collection at Lilly Library at the Indiana University. And then this is the carbon copy of it. This was in the possession of a guy named Carl Schulzer, who was a professor. His name's on the inside, written on the inside. And then it was passed on from Carl Schulzer to a guy named Stanton Wheeler. Stanton Wheeler was starting the white-collar program at Yale. Included with this book were two letters, and one of the letters was between Stanton Wheeler and the senior editor of Yale University Press, recommending that Yale University publish the uncut version of White Collar Crime. This was really very, very likely the only other copy that existed that was uncut. So they probably used this to produce the uncut version, and then Stanton Wheeler held on to it. Stanton Wheeler died in 2007, I believe, and his widow died in 2018, and this was purchased in an estate sale of his widow. I bought it from the guy who bought it there. These two books are two of the most important books that I own. This book is extremely rare. There's only two, and it was very important to criminology in the United States. Edwin Sutherland is basically the father of criminology in the United States and white-collar crime. This was ahead of its time. Next question is question number 3. Variant 2, show a book series that you have multiple book editions in the series. I don't know if I have a true series. I have all the John le Carré books, and there are a number of different versions of that. I have his first book that was done. This is 1962 book club version. And then I have a number of the Penguin copies. And there's also a lot of the Scribner copies. Hodder and Stoughton, I believe. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's English. This is the first edition, first printing, and it's signed. So I don't know if this really counts as a series. I do have 2 first edition, first printings that are signed from 74 and 1980. But that's it. And that's Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy, and then Smiley's People. So if anybody has a signed first edition of The Honorable Schoolboy, send it my way for free. Question number 4. Prune, a book that you recently got rid of or are planning to get rid of. Ooh, that is hard. I don't unhaul too often. For space sometimes. I just showed some different versions of my John le Carré collection. One of those, the first one I showed, the Call for the Dead, that I had a different copy of. I was at a local bookstore and I found that really early edition from a book club from 1962. So I took my recent copy and I just traded it basically and took that one. I don't know if that really counts. This is the hardback first edition, first printing signed copy of Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson. I had a paperback copy that I had read. That's the one I read before I bought that. I was running out of room. I took that to our local bookstore thinking that I could get store credit, and they were going to give me something like 10 cents, 5 cents. So instead of doing that, I just put it in the free box so somebody could take it for free. Question number 5, Enchantment. A book that had you under a spell. A book that you could not put down. That's actually hard to narrow down. There are a number of books that I consider important to me over the years. I'll do a recent one. I've already done a video on this, but this is Sounding by Hank Searles. Hank Searles did Jaws 2 and Jaws the Revenge. Sounding is about, I feel like I should hold it up a little bit longer. Look at that whale tail. Sounding is about a sperm whale and a dying Russian sub off of the coast of New York. You can watch my video about it, but it was exactly what I wanted, exactly when I wanted it. It really appealed to my love of sperm whales and deeper stories. So check out that video if you want to learn more about the book. I try not to spoil too much about it, but I felt like this is one of those books that was a relative unknown for me, and once I read it, I really loved it. All right, number 6, Timekeepers. Name a series that has stood the test of time. Bonus points if it's a trilogy. I will tell you a book that I think has really stood the test of time is Dune. And I know there's a series of Dune books, but I've only read the first one. I love Dune, and I know people are scared of the length a lot of times. It's not that long. It was long in the whenever it was written, the 50s or 60s. It was considered long then. It's not long now. It's thick, but it's also nice paper that you'll typically see it in, written on. So, those books are just thicker books. It's not horribly long. I've definitely read a lot longer books, and I kind of thought it was going to be a daunting book, and then when I opened it up, it moves pretty quickly. Why is it timeless? Why has it stood the test of time? There's kind of a reset, and I don't want to spoil the book, but a lot of times some of these older books will have issues because of technology involved. But if you can just do a reset and not have a lot of advanced technology in the future, it makes it a lot easier to make it believable. You could set Dune in any time period in space and it would work because it's not dated by references to technology. This is number 7, Asgard. A book with royalty or godlike figures. Ooh. All right, I'm just gonna go for it. I know this is about Loki, but I'm a DC guy. And this is Darkseid. This is the book that got me back in the comics. Darkseid War. Darkseid, if you don't know who Darkseid is, and this one's signed by Jeff Johns and Jim Lee. Darkseid is the ultimate badass, and he is much cooler than Thanos. Thanos is actually based off of Darkseid. Let's see if I can find him. There's actually a number of gods in here. Highfather. Highfathers, they're based off of the Fourth World, which was Jack Kirby, who also created Thor. This is Darkseid. So if you know what Thanos looks like, that you're like, ooh, that kind of looks like Thanos. Well, Thanos looks like him because he was first, and he's a super badass. He has Omega beams. He can beat up Superman. He's one of the new gods. The new gods are on New Genesis and Apocalypse. Apocalypse is Darkseid's planet. New Genesis is the Highfather's planet. Number 8, Daggers, a book that cut you deep and made you emotional. Just unbundled emotions all the time. A book that made me sad. There are some go-tos. Pets Dying. There's Rescuing a Sprite that I've read by Mark Levin. That was emotional. I don't know if that's really what we're talking about. I've found that as I've become a parent, it just kind of happened one day. Since I've been a parent, I've been much more affected by harm to kids. Kids dying in books affects you, I think, a lot more when you have a kid and you kind of put yourself in place of the parents or the family in the book. I would tell you a book that is not like that really made me think for a while and kind of affected me. It's probably not on a lot of people's list, but Rise of, I keep saying Endymion, but it's Endymion, The Rise of Endymion, by Dan Simmons. This is the final book in the Hyperion Endymion 4-book series. I can't tell you why, but there's something that happens in this book. Just something happens. You really like the characters. I really like the characters. And then something happens. It affected me for a few days, which for me is, affected me like I thought about it. Did not affect me like I couldn't get out or I couldn't talk to people or anything like that. But that doesn't happen to me often. So I think that's a unique thing for this book. And it was not something I was expecting from a sci-fi book. Alrighty, question number 9, Illusion. A book you bought because you thought the cover was pretty. That doesn't sound like something I would buy. But it ended up being bad. I haven't done that. I have bought books based off their covers, and I'll show you 2 of them. Neither of the books that I can remember doing that for turned out bad, and I'm not sure if I would say they were life-changing, but they, as far as my reading goes, they were important books to me. And they were both bought because of the cover. So first book, this specific book, this is Pirate by Ted Bell. It's signed. I bought this in sometime between 2006 and 2008. Tell you, I wasn't really reading before that. Dyslexic. I didn't read for fun really growing up. There are a few books that I can think of that I remember reading. The BFG, Big Friendly Giant, and Ishmael. But those are the only two that I can really stand out from any time in my life before 2006. 2006, I had already graduated from college, undergrad, and I was an adult. So why was this important? I was on a ship, a Coast Guard ship. We were pulling out in a week maybe. And I thought, you know what? Why not get a book and see if I want to read? This was at the cash register in Kingston, South Kingston, Rhode Island. And I grabbed it because it said pirate. There's a life ring and ocean. And I thought, we'll see it if I like it. I loved it. Some of the scenes took place in areas that we were patrolling on my ship. I liked it so much I told my parents about it, and they bought other books for me by Ted Bell and sent them for Christmas, which I got them in Guantanamo Bay, where we were doing a port call. So this book is important because this got me into reading. I was not reading before I got this book. And this book is the reason I started reading. And it really took 22 years to get to a point where I would read for pleasure. And it was because of Pirate. So this is my first Ted Bell book. It's my most important Ted Bell book to me. Maybe not as much as Phantom because that's the one I'm a character in. But I've told Ted how important this was, and I have all his other books, and a bunch of them are signed. But this is what started not only reading Ted Bell, but reading at all. The other book that I bought solely because of the cover was Carrying Comfort. And I read this in 2009, maybe? 2008, 2010-ish, sometime in there. I got it because I thought it was really creepy looking, and it is. This is still kind of the cover. It's changed a little bit, but it still has the creepy face on it. I got this. Before that, the only book that I was reading was Ted Bell. This is really the first real attempt of branching out. Dan Simmons' Carrying Comfort helped me expand my reading horizons. So, and that's it. That is all the books for this tag. It's the Loki tag, the Loki Book Tag from Eric at Break Even Books. Check him out. Subscribe to him. Subscribe to me if you'd like. I'm sorry I didn't do this sooner. Eric, I believe, likes Marvel, and I'm a DC guy, but I like the Marvel movies. So I was happy to do this. Thank you for tagging me. Please consider yourself tagged. Check out the questions below, and also check out Eric's channel at Break Even Books, and give it a try yourself.